Real quick before, I just wanted to say, I was in your stream the other day, in Time Teacher, and you were watching some dinosaur stuff, and I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about that before you pop out. Okay?
Sure.
If you got a second, yeah. I don't want to interrupt your discourse.
What was your
I'm
name in the chat?
I am HiveSci.
Okay, yeah, I remember you.
Yeah, that's me.
The one and only.
I'll let Bree ask her question since mine will probably go somewhere else.
No sweat.
Okay, yeah. So you actually had
a few things.
You had actually proposed some questions to me in that chat that really would need more of a. It'd be easier to articulate the answers in words than in what we can do in a side chat. But you'd asked what about those particular sightings that they showed on the screen had been debunked, and I just wanted to clarify with you that most of those sightings are travelers' tales. That is tales told by indigenous people to travelers that come through, tall tales about mystical wildlife that lives in the far off jungles. They sell stories to travelers and visitors from other countries that pass through. So that's why a lot of those, at least the verbal ones, are just debunked right out of the gate. Now
But I mean, to respond to that real quick, why I do think that it could be reasonable that some of those, of course, could be just myths that people made to gain popularity for their area. That certainly could be true, but I find it very illogical to claim that literally every one of those are, because how the hell do you know that if you're just sitting there behind a computer typing things online? It's not like you've actually been over there to confirm these things for yourself.
Oh no, it's not just me. It's a thing that the indigenous people do, and they still do it today. It's not a like something I'm saying. Oh, these guys are just lying. It's actually a popular to them. It's just telling stories to make money. They're just storytellers. They don't think about it like culturally. They don't think about it like I'm telling this person a fact about an animal that was seen here that they can go see themselves. They're telling a legend or something to these people. You can look at the way that these stories are written and relayed to these missionaries, because it's always missionaries, always, that are looking for these, asking questions about these dinosaurs and these monsters that are living in the jungles. And they show them these drawings and picture books of dinosaurs and pterosaurs and things like that. And they're like, oh yeah, that's what I see. Telling them to go along with whatever story they're trying to build. They're not thinking of it like, oh, these people are actually classifying this zoologically and using it as evidence for a young Earth. It's part of the culture. It's how they do. You pay these people and they'll tell you a story.
Okay. Now, once again, I understand that some of them certainly could be that, but again, to claim that literally every single one is, that just doesn't seem logical, because you or me, we didn't go over there to confirm this for ourselves. So to say that literally all of them are, that's a bit too far there. But certainly some of them certainly could be.
Well, and how do you parse which ones are real and which ones are not, or which ones are authentic? And with the authentic ones, because we run short on physical evidence, right? Then we hit a brick wall when there's no photos or bones, no footprints, no anything.
Well, it's certainly reasonable why, say for an example, I'll give an example. Over in the Amazon, right? They claim that there's a creature over there called the Makele Bembe. You might have heard about
that's in the Congo, not in the Amazon. Yes, Okilimimbe.
Okay. Okay. Well, with that, right? It's certainly reasonable why this creature, which it might exist, might not exist. I don't know because I'm not there. But certainly reasonable why it hasn't been called on camera, because a lot of people living in that area don't have access to phones or the internet like me and you do. So the odds of them stumbling across a creature like that and having a camera on them is absolutely very unlikely. So the only way they'll be able to go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Let me tell you about an interesting aspect of ecology that maybe you people don't consider when they're talking about sauropods, like living in modern times. So when we look at and this is I'm gonna leave Africa just for a minute so I can give an example of how this ecology stuff works. During the Younger Dryas, right? There was a plain, this huge strip of highland plains running from basically from Europe all the way to North America, right? It's called a mammoth steppe, and it was cultivated and maintained by mammoths, by herds and herds of mammoths, right? And these animals were not quite as big as a sauropod, but their impact on the environment in the region that they lived in was so much so that they lived. That's why we named the steppe after them. These large animals that fill this ecological niche where every aspect of their existence impacts everything else in the environment around them, from the way that the parasites live, from the way that the rivers flow when they cross them. They can even change the course of rivers by crossing them. They can their feces fertilize this plain so that the grass can grow. You know, it's this wonderful ecological balance that's kept with these large animals, these large browsers. Now, a sauropod filled a similar ecological niche, and we know they lived in these groups like this because of the way we find their remains and the way their nesting sites are set up. They lived in groups, and we know based on what we found of them that's the case. So large browsing herbivores like that, first of all, we're going to know that they had to move, because large herds like that are not going to be able to sustain a population in a sedentary lifestyle for very long. So these large sauropods are going to be moving through the area, being very prominent and impacting ecologies, not just on one location, but in multiple locations. They would create a whole ecology around how they lived and what their lifestyle on, just from the size of these animals and how they socialized.
Okay. All right, I'll take that answer. One more thing before I got a drop. If you were watching the video, there was a couple things that were brought up, such as some of these temple carvings, and stonework, these clay figurines that they found. And cave art, so all of those, taken into consideration. Could some of them be fake? Of course, some of those could be fake. But again, I would find it very hypocritical and illogical to simply say that every single one of those are fake. Why some of them certainly could be. It
would be the best thing to do?
Wait, just you got to let me finish first, so you can understand what I'm saying. So I wanted to ask you, it's like, okay, so taking all of those different accounts from all over the world into consideration, if the dinosaurs didn't exist with humans, how do you explain some of these temple artworks that are a few hundred years old, and some of these pottery that we found that depict these dinosaurs on?
They don't exist, and they're hoaxes. I can go through each and every one that you could present to me and debunk it for you, like independently, one by one, if you need me to.
Okay, so
I've debunked a ton of most. I've debunked most of them, so I have no problem. You got temples. You're talking about the Stegosaurus in the temple, the rhino with the plants behind it. Yes, I'm familiar with that one. Or the pterosaur in the desert, where it's someone actually went in and vandalized it. That one's an interesting one too. Well, we could go through one at a time sometime. If you want to come and hang out with me, we can do that.